Howdy and welcome back to the shop. Been working on the little Jimmy here, 97 Jimmy Hoopty Wagon, 4.3 four-wheel drive. So this thing it was steering weird, and I hardly ever drive this. You know, I maybe drive it in town. I knew the front end was getting a little wore out. Didn't realize just exactly how bad it was. So here's the gearbox out of that Jimmy. The Pitman arm was so wore out that there was 1/4 of an inch of movement on the Pitman arm before the drag link ever moved. I've never seen one that wore out that hadn't fell apart. I don't know, miraculous divine intervention kept this from causing an accident, I guess. So anyway, I have replaced the Pitman arm. I think I've made another video on replacing Pitman arms and talking more in depth on how to do that. This video is going to be concerned primarily with getting the steering box in and out of the truck to where you can change the Pitman arm. You cannot change the Pitman arm on one of these trucks with the steering box in the truck. Has to come out. So I've already installed the Pitman arm. Now one thing that I've done a lot of recently is you can't read that really, probably not, but when I buy a warranty part, a lifetime warranty part, I've got so many rigs and so many accounts, and I've got 4 of these S10s, so I can't remember which S10 which part went on, and I don't want to be dishonest with my parts supplier and say, hey, yeah, I bought this from you, so-and-so. So what I've taken to doing is I will write down O'Reilly's to September 2023. That's when I bought this part. That way, when this part fails, and I go back in here, oh yeah, that came from O'Reilly's. Now I do have a parts account with O'Reilly's. I would suggest that every one of you men go to O'Reilly's and just set up a COD account. That will get you a little bit of a multiplier on your parts. It'll help out your credit score if you're worried about that, I think. But it'll get you a little bit of multiplier. And the most important thing is it has a parts history to where you don't have to keep track of stupid receipts. So get an account with O'Reilly's, a real account, a commercial account, if you're doing a whole lot of stuff. So let's stab this thing up in the hole. Actually, before we stab it in the hole, let's look at the hole. So I've got the lower half of the steering shaft is out. I'll probably make another video on putting that back together. So I've taken the air cleaner box off. I've obviously taken the hood off because I don't like whacking my head. I've taken the air cleaner box off. I have taken the cooler lines, the oil cooler lines have been taken loose. And that gets you access to down in here. Obviously the lines, the power steering pump lines have been taken loose, moved up out of the way. All of this to gain access to the top. Now, I was afraid I was going to have to take this fender off. I did not have to. That's why I'm doing this video more putting it back together than taking it apart, because usually when I do these Pitman arms, I've done a couple of them, I've got the whole front end stripped off the truck. The air conditioner works on this, so I didn't want to have to take the core support and everything off the truck to do this. So this was kind of experimental archaeology to find a workable way of doing this. So underneath, the oil filter assembly, you know, the radiator, the cooler lines for the oil have been taken loose and stored out of the way. The oil filter assembly and the bracket has just been pushed out of the way and kind of balanced up in there. This is one of the power steering lines. It's just been moved back out of the way. And that's the hole where the power steering box goes. Now I'm going to get a screwdriver or something, scrape some of that filth out of there. This thing's a oily, greasy pig, you know, aren't they all? So I'm going to scrape some of that crap out of there. I probably should have fired up the pressure washer and give this thing a pressure wash before I got up underneath here, but you know what? If I'd have thought everything through, wouldn't be in this situation today anyway. So here we are. I'm going to clean up a little bit, scrape some of that crap out of there, and we'll come back and stab a box in it. All right, fellers. Now I'm going to apologize right now because there's a good chance I'm going to stick my head and my shoulders and everything else in the shot, and it's going to block it. But so one of the things that I do is I always grease every piece of a bolt that goes through a frame. So we're going to get the bolts stuck in there and just barely sticking out. We're going to take this heavy assembly and we're going to jam her up in there. Where are you at, baby? Who stole my bolt hole? There he is. There we go. Okay. In there. There we go. Yep. Okay, I got all three of them started. I will tighten them up off camera. Okay, so now it's time to hook the cooler or the power steering lines back up. Now, there's a little O-ring on the end of this dog knot, whatever it's called, on these power steering lines. It's way Shake Away Always has done them. Now, I buy O-rings in a O-ring kit from the parts house. They're like 10, 20 bucks for an assortment. Usually you're only going to use like 2 sizes of O-rings out of the whole assortment. Well, so what? You know, it's going to get you out of a bind. And I don't even know if you can just get these O-rings at the parts house. Another thing but always change these O-rings if you possibly can, because it takes about 35, 40 minutes to get down to this deep in the truck. You know, take care to not be doing stupid stuff. So I like to grease not down here, but where the nut slides on the line. I do this on brake lines too. Every kind of line that's got a fitting like this. Anti-seize, grease, fluid film, anything you got that you can put on this. Whoop, come on, baby, focus. Anything you got that you can put on this to keep this nut from corroding down to the tubing is going to save your butt in the long run. So I'm going to hook these lines up. Now these are 2 different sizes, so you really can't screw it up. I'm going to go ahead and hook these lines back up. All right, next we're going to, beg your pardon, next we're going to put the oil filter back on it, the bracket and stuff. This thing's been peeing in the floor like an incontinent house cat. I know there's a hole there somewhere. There it is. Somebody keeps stealing all my bolt holes. Come on. There we go. Again, I've greased the bloody thunder out of all the bolts. Okay, let's go get the oil cooler line, or the, yeah, cooler line, and put that in there. All right, the bottom end of the cooler line's hooked up, and I should have started that. I should have put it on the cooler, or on the oil filter housing, before I stuck the bracket up on the core support. But it's doable afterward. It would have been easier to get everything started and then put the bracket up on there. So on these upper cooler lines, you've got this W-shaped clip, or C-shaped clip, or E-shaped clip, but you got this little clip. And this little clip has 3 protrusions that stick through 3 slots in this adapter. Transcooler lines are similar. Now the book specifically says do not reuse these, but you know. So what you want to do is you want to find whichever hole is facing you the easiest for you to see, and you want to put the middle of this clip lined up with that hole. And work her in there and make sure she's popped in there and is flopping in the breeze. It's got to be flopping in the breeze. And make sure you take a filthy rag and clean off the end of your oil lines. That way you're pushing lots of debris down in there. Now, when you push this in here, you got to push it in there straight, and you'll feel it click. And work it back and forth several times. It should move back and forth just a hair, but not come back out. Very much bad things happen if that comes loose going down the road 60 miles an hour in the rain in St. Louis at rush hour, in the bad part. So the idler and the drag link and everything, I'm going to put everything, finish it up off camera. Everybody knows how to beat on a ball joint separator. Everybody knows how to put nuts and bolts back together. I just thought I would outline how this all comes apart in here. And the easiest way for me to show how it comes apart is to put it back together. So, hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Oh, and by the way, we're starting a new little project. Oh. So back here on the back doors of the shop, my test spray painting area back there, what I'm going to do is I want you all boys that are watching this to leave your location. Just leave it down in the comments. You know, I'm in Perth, Australia, or I'm in, I don't know, French Indochina or somewhere, or Czechoslovakia, or something like that, you know. Something, you know, if you're in a little podunk town like I am, at least tell me your latitude and longitude so that I know, because we're going to get some big old maps and put them up on the wall back here. And I'm going to have everybody comment, and I'm going to put a pin in the map where everybody that comments is going to get a pin, just for kind of a geography thing for my boy, for the helper boy, which he ain't here today, but that's none of your business. But we're going to start doing that, and we'll go from there. In the meanwhile, if y'all think this was anything like entertaining or helpful, give me a big fat thumbs up. And, you know, y'all drive safe, watch for deer.